Holy One of Justice.
We can't hear anything.
I think Lambertville 1 needs to unmute themselves.
Is that better, guys? Can you hear?
Please unmute Lambertville 1.
Okay, are we done? So is anyone willing to nominate the council president from?
Yes, I'm happy to nominate Julia Taylor to continue to serve as council president. I just wanted to thank her for her hard work, especially during the flood last year, and she did a spectacular job, and I think we should continue that, so I'm very proud to make that motion.
Thank you. Are there any other further nominations or a second?
I would like to second Julia Taylor for council president. She's done an outstanding job, more than stepped up to a very difficult, challenging year, and delighted to serve with her for a second year.
Thank you. So I would like someone to make a motion to confirm the nomination of Julia Taylor as council president for the calendar year 2022.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. Roll call, please, Cindy.
Yeah, I have to get that roll call down there. Sorry. Councilwoman Lambert?
Yes.
Councilman Sanders?
Yes.
Councilman Stegman?
Yes.
Councilwoman Taylor? Yes. Mayor Noack?
Yes.
Okay. One for you.
Thank you. Should we stand close to everything?
Yeah,
No.
right there is perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so raise your right hand, please, and repeat after me. I, Julia Taylor,
I, Julia Taylor,
do solemnly affirm
do solemnly affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the same
to the same
and to the governments established in the United States
and the governments established in the United States
and in this state
and in this state
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
and that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform all duties of the office of Council President
impartially and justly perform all duties of the office of Council President
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
We got this one, but we'll do that.
Congratulations. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to say good evening, everyone, and hello especially to honored guests, Rabbi Diana, Reverend Don, mayors, let's see, who are all the mayors in the room? Fall, Del Vecchio, Kovach, and Kelly. We have four mayors in the room tonight, so welcome to all of you. And welcome as well to Mr. Gittens from the office of Assemblywoman, I'm sorry, Senator Turner, excuse me. Assemblywoman Jackson, Reynolds Jackson, excuse me. Sorry, getting mixed up. And I'd also like to say hello to, a special hello to all of my family up in New England and Massachusetts, in particular my aunts Peggy and my aunt Jeanette, who's turning 101 this month. So, glad to have you here. And good evening, of course, to council as well. So glad to be working with all of you. So I just wanted to talk for a few minutes about a couple of things. The well-known anthropologist Margaret Mead was once asked in a class what she thought was the beginning, the most certain proof, the most beginning proof of civilization. And you can just imagine all her sort of eager students sort of leaning forward and sort of expecting an answer about a clay pot or a bronze axe or something of that nature. And she thought about it for a moment, and she said, for me, the earliest proof of civilization was found in a 12,000-year-old skeleton, the skeleton of a man that I examined, who had a broken femur, and the femur healed long before the man died. And she went on to explain that in the animal kingdom, when an animal breaks its leg, that's the end of the animal. It becomes food for another animal kind of passing by. But that the sure sign of civilization was that a person with a broken femur was helped to safety and then nurtured for the entire length of time it took for that femur to heal. And that for her was kind of the beginning of civilization, that recognition that one human can help another human heal and get them out of danger. And when we fast forward about 11,000 years, we have some philosophers, Locke, Hobbes, and Rousseau, who began to kind of tinker with the idea of government and individual responsibility and the social contract, which we're probably all familiar with. The idea that it's an implicit agreement between members of society to seek out the common good and to work together for the benefit of each member of a community. So we go from 12,000 years to 11,500 years ago, and then we get to 1982, which is kind of when I graduated from high school. And I graduated without a lot of promise in life. My guidance counselor told me that college was probably a waste of time for me, and there wasn't a lot of support, there wasn't a lot of advice or help along the way. But I went out and made my way in the world, and I was very conscious of the fact that I was an individual, kind of with grit and determination and independence, but that I was also supported by communities wherever I lived. And that becomes an important factor for me in my life. My life has only gotten better as I've gotten older, and this idea of the social compact and individuality my own individuality has kind of dovetailed so beautifully. You know, when I was 18, I never could have guessed that my life would have taken me here. I never would have guessed that I would have been able to actually get married to a man, let alone adopt 3 beautiful children, and then kind of progress in so many ways that were unexpected. And a lot of that has to do with our government and our social movement and how people understand that love is love and that these things, you know, that these things evolve. And so I come to this this position with a great deal of gratitude for everybody in my life that's helped me along the way. You know, there are many people in this community who have set such shining examples of service that I began to think that this might be something that I could do. And so here we are. And I'm very much looking forward to working with everybody and taking this as seriously as possible, but also with a lot of joy and optimism for the promise of our city and for the people here. You know, it's amazing to me that the first mayor was Samuel Lilly in 1849, and we come all the way up to today, and we've had a lot of mayors, and we've had a lot of shining examples in this community of people who just give and give and give. And I've learned that repeatedly over the last 8 months, whether it's been, you know, sitting in the rescue house with people who, you know, have given thousands of hours to the rescue squad, given thousands of volunteer hours, or people on council, or people on our various boards and commissions. We have about 103 people who serve on our boards and commissions. So it's just like tons and tons of examples of goodness here in Lambertville, and I find inspiration from that every day. Let's talk about politics for just a minute, because it's a very exciting business. I've learned a few things over the last 8 months. Politics can be a little confusing sometimes. I come from a family with Republicans and Democrats, and we've always been able to get along. My sister-in-law Peg and I have always been able to talk about politics and debate politics, and in the end the conversation always ends nicely and quietly, and I think that's probably because Peg knows that I'm right. Hi, Peg. You know, for me, politics it's fascinating. One of the most instructive moments I had campaigning was I was up on one of the hills, and I had a very long conversation with a resident, probably 20-25 minutes. We talked about the street sweeper and children and taxes and everything else, and I really liked her a lot. And as I turned to walk down the steps of her house, I saw a Trump flag, and I thought to myself, do I have to dislike her now? And of course the answer was no. And for me, these moments have been very instructive, that people think different things and that people are parts of our community. And I always want to try to get to the place where 2 people can have a conversation. I think that for me is the foundation of good politics. And it's something that I hope to carry forward in my own dealings with people, to always be able to listen and not attach necessarily a specific adjective or party. Just it's important to listen is the point of that. And just a couple last thoughts. You know, I've spent some time since we bought the Clausen farm up taking care of the houses there. So I check in on them a couple times a week. I go in and I turn the water on and flush the toilets and do all that stuff to make sure the houses are running well. And I've had a few nice moments in the Holcomb house, which was, as most of you know, was built in 1724, before George Washington was even born. It preceded George Washington by, I think, about 6 years. And George Washington did, I don't know if he slept there, but he certainly planned some battles there. And it's a splendid place. And I go there and I stand in the front room of that house, which is almost 300 years old, and I meditate a little bit, and I feel enveloped by the goodness and the history of Lambertville, these 300 years. And leaves a deep impression on me when I'm in this place. And sometimes I remember, too, that this house has always been inhabited by people, by families who have suffered and who have grieved and who have had joy and who have had love and death and everything in between. And for me, the house represents it's a metaphor for Lambertville. It's a splendid place set in an incredible environment along a beautiful river. And it's held generations of people, generations of families. And I find it very moving as a metaphor. And it's a place I love. And so I love Lambertville in the same way. I'm very much a fan of the architecture and the people and the river and the eagles and all of that. It has great meaning for me, and that will just hopefully continue to guide my days and my work. As I think that, you know, getting back to the basics here, for me it is about healing, right? So it is about, you know, at the moment in Lambertville there are a lot of broken femurs. There's a lot of healing that needs to happen. We have so much damage from Ida. We have so much, you know, it's been a lot of political division over the last few years. I think that we really need to do our best as individuals to listen, to help, heal, to guide, and to be there for people. So that's, I think, about all I have to say at the moment. And I'm going to turn it over to Council President Taylor with much gratitude for her work and her presence.
Good evening, everybody. Is this working? I will be less philosophical than Mayor Noack. As most of you know, I tend to be brief in my comments. Just wanted to thank you to my colleagues for allowing me this opportunity to serve in a different way for a second year. I appreciate it, and reaffirm my commitment to the public for service, which is what I have done since I moved to Lambertville. I don't even remember how long ago, a long time ago, 20 years, I think, for the first time. And political commentary is not my forte. I'm here essentially by accident because of service, not because of politics. So I do agree with Mayor Noack that there's a lot of femurs. I hope that the skills that I can bring to this role, lots of spreadsheets, lots of task mastering, can help us get some of the work done that we need to solve those femurs, build trust, and take advantage of all of the kind offers of support and help that I've heard over the past few months from people through email and phone calls. I know the rest of the council has heard the same thing, so we remember your names. We're going to ask you for your help, and it's time for us to really put our heads down. We have a lot of big challenges. It's going to take a lot of time and a lot of hard work, and a lot of dedication and commitment, but I know that we can do it and do it well. So thank you, everybody. Looking forward to the new administration.
Thank you. Other council members, Ward, perhaps?
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Council President. First, with that philosophic introduction, I did want to say, as they say in show business, we hope you break a leg.
That's much better than a Steve Stegman joke.
But know that we will be there to lift you up and help you and not feast upon your demise. No, thank you, and I really appreciate those very thoughtful comments from both of you. This is my 15th year serving as a council person. I've been honored to have been elected 5 times, and really appreciate the opportunity to serve the folks in Lambertville. I did want to just take a look back in the past year on very quickly on three achievements that I wanted to note, because I just think they're important. First, you know, this city and its residents were part of a movement to oppose the Pennies pipeline, you know, we were one of the first cities to pass a resolution to mark our opposition. And we continued. We had some meetings. We had a number of meetings in this very building to chat about this. We met with representatives from DEP, with Suez. We signed on to the FERC docket and submitted comments. We worked with other stakeholders. I know our freeholders were opposed to this. Folks up and down the line, along the line of the proposed route, were all opposing this. We had enormous and incredible volunteer spirit from members of this community that were really important. you know, and we even had Sue Beejan, one of our members, doing a podcast and interviewing key stakeholders that we were then broadcasting. But to me, it was our voice of opposition, along with the chorus of voices in opposition, that really changed the course of that project. And then this past year, the proponents announced that they were going to give up their efforts, and it's now been removed from the FERC docket. And you know, we were part of that voice that was essential to that outcome. So I wanted to thank everybody in town. Second, we passed a resolution banning pay-to-play as a way to ensure greater confidence in our decision-making. You know, and the ordinance prohibits the awarding of public contracts to certain contributors. Again, I think that this is, you know, at the end of the day, it is more important about making sure that folks have confidence in how we're making our decisions as a community, and I thought it was important that we took that step forward this year. And third, we passed a resolution to allow retail cannabis businesses in town. And we went through a process that I thought was really important. We received input from the community. We had virtual sessions, we had in-person sessions. Steve and I met with members of the business community. We had work sessions with volunteers in town. We examined ordinances from some very, very early adopters and thought about what made sense for this community. So I don't know if it's a success yet. I think the process was a success at this point. But at the end of the day, we were a minority of communities that acted swiftly to allow applicants. And we now have a website, so thank you for the website with a page that shows that we're open for business. It's a good metaphor. The ordinance that we passed includes a fee on the sale of cannabis, and you know, this remains to be seen, but based on some of the fiscal challenges that we have, this could be a really important component towards helping us get over the hump of some of those challenges. You know, success for our community is easy when we have a common path, and we just have to work towards that solution. And those three issues, I think the community, we had some pretty clear alignment. But the COVID pandemic, the Ida storm, and the sort of the cadence of our debt is going to make for 3 really difficult budget years. So I hope that we can work together in the spirit of those prior processes to drive towards consensus with an open process that listens to our community members, but we recognize that we're not going to necessarily be able to come up with solutions that please everyone with every one of our decisions. And lastly, I did want to note, and I know Mayor, you mentioned this, is that we do have members of this community that are really hurting. You know, we talk to them when we walk around town. You know, we saw the devastation from Ida. COVID took 2 lives from my street, on Jefferson Street. So we need to keep those less well off in our minds as we think about how we govern and ways to provide assistance and comfort to those folks. Mayor, I look forward to working with you, and I promise to give you my best counsel. I'll let you know when I think you're right. I'll let you know if I think you're off the mark a little bit. And I really appreciate the way you've approached your entry into this new job. And again, thank you to the members of the community for supporting the council with your input. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Councilwoman Lambert, any remarks?
First, Mayor, I'd like to welcome you to the council, primarily because I'm no longer the rookie on the team. I don't know how much more experience I have than you, but it's good not being the new guy. I just would like to say to the community that I feel so privileged to serve the people of Lambertville. It's such an honor to be sitting here to helping to craft decisions that are in the best interest of our community. And I couldn't ask for a better group of council members to be working with. You know, I've worked with 3 out of the 4 for a year. Mayor, we've had several conversations, and I have no doubt that this is going to be a very productive, collaborative, and well-functioning council. I really do believe that, and you have my commitment that I will, I may not always agree with you, but we will do it with respect and civility. And I have always believed that when people have differing points of view, the compromise that works as a result is often better than either party's original position. And that's really at the heart of our system of government, is that consensus and that form of collaboration that we really, you feel so much, it's so much more partnered with the people that you're serving with. So congratulations to you for being our mayor. Council President, congratulations to you. Looking forward to a second year. And I don't have any philosophical analogy, so I will pass it along to Councilman Stegman.
Thank you. Thank you. Congratulations on your continuing role, and I'm glad that you are committed to step forward again and help steer the ship. And to my other council friends, Ward and Benedetta, it's always a pleasure to work with both of you, and to welcome Mayor Norwood. I just want to say I had a similar situation that you did with your guidance counselor, except mine happened in kindergarten, which was several years ago. And actually thinking about the commitment of many of the people in the room and on the dais who have made their commitment to our city that we all love to call home. The 5 of us can't do it alone, and I'm so glad you called out the number of volunteers that staff or give their time to all our boards and commissions, because it's one thing to see their names on the paper, but it's one thing to acknowledge all their hard work. And I think I came to office in 2000, around there, 2000, 2001, thanks to Mayor Del Vecchio. And through public support through all the election processes. And I think I came out, and I was 50 when I first started, and so please don't do the math. But I don't feel any different about the city than I did then. My feeling for the city is it's been very interesting and a trip for me. And the support of the folks of Lambertville, whether we share different opinions and views, it's very welcome to hear from people with different ideas, because you, as you had said, you grow your bandwidth about how you feel based on input from the residents of the city. So I do look forward to working with you and the council going forward. Thank you for the great calls we've had so far, and let's get the work done together.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you all. Next on the agenda is the appointments to boards and commissions. I've made, obviously on the agenda you can see a lot of appointments. I've had conversations with all of these people, and have been impressed with their professionalism, their commitment to the community, to their sense of humor, to the fact that they want to be engaged. They all sent resumes and letters, and really represent sort of the best spirit of the community. So I'd like to thank them all. Do I need to read everybody's names?
We should read the names
Okay.
into the record.
Great, okay. So, here we go. On the Cable Television Advisory Board, I would like to appoint Stephanie Grant to an unexpired term ending 12/31/2022. David K. Byrd to a term expiring 12/31/2024. Sean Ellis to a term expiring 12/31/2024. The Celebrations Committee, term ending 12/31/2022. Leah Guy and Haley Gardner. To the Environmental Commission, Kelly Kapler to a term ending 12/31/2024. Lindsay Hanch to a term ending 12/31/2024. Andy I'm not sure how to pronounce his last name, Ritzitsky, to an unexpired term ending 12/31/2023. Kate Millsaps, who is also the Planning Board rep, to a term ending 12/31/2024. The Historic Preservation Commission, Michelle Glassberg, who's here tonight, to an unexpired term ending 12/31/2023. Debbie Kelly, also here tonight, to an unexpired term ending 12/31/2023. And the alternate 2 position to Evan Lyde, to a term expiring 12/31/2023. On the Human Rights Council, we have the library representative, Ricardo Zapata. We have Bruce Harris to a term ending 12/31/2023. Trina Bardusco to a term ending 12/31/2023. To the Lambertville Free Public Library Board, Kate Winslow to an unexpired term ending 12/31/2025. Stephanie Volmer to a term expiring 12/31/2024. The Office of Emergency Management, we have Lieutenant Robert Brown, the coordinator. We have myself, Mayor, Cynthia Iggy as the city clerk, Michael Humphrey, the deputy clerk, Michael Barlow, chief of the Lambertville Fire Department, Wanda Quinones from the South Hunterdon Regional School District, Jane Westby from the Delaware River Towns Chamber of Commerce, Bambi Kuhl, the Director of Public Assistance, Thomas Horn, the Executive Director of the LMUA, Scott Elliott from the Human Rights Commission, Kenneth Rogers, the construction official, John Miller, the flood expert, Jason Strauss, Chief of the Lambertville New Hope Rescue Squad, sorry, I missed something there, area, and James Walters, Suez. On the LMUA board, Paul Rotundi to a term ending February 1st, 2027, and the alternate 2, Holly Havens, to a term ending February 1st, 2027. Parks and Recreation, Marianne Borge to serve as chairperson to a term expiring 12/31/2024. Missy Lyde to an unexpired term expiring 12/31/2023. Scott Connor to a term expiring 12/31/24. And alternate 2, James Troutman, to a term expiring 12/31/2023. On the Planning Board, myself to a term ending 12/31/2024. Paul Rotundi to a term ending 12/31/2022. Stephen Stegman to a term ending 12/31/2022. Class 4, Matt Blake, who is here this evening, to a term ending 12/31/2024. Class 4, Stephanie Moss, to a term ending 12/31/2023. Class 4, EC, Environmental Commission, Kate Millsaps, to a term ending 12/31/2024. And Class 4, alternate Robert Jordan, whom I think I see, to a term ending 12/31/2023. On the Shade Tree Commission, we have Rich Mowry to a term ending 12/31/2026. Tom Ogren to a term expiring 12/31/2026. And on the Zoning Board of Adjustment, we have Pasquale Pattori to a term expiring 12/31/2024. Christine Cascio-Peluso to a term expiring 12/31/2024. Paul Bernstein, who is here this evening, to an unexpired term expiring 12/31/2023. Alternate Brian Kelly, who's here this evening, to an unexpired term ending 12/31/2022. And alternate 2, William Neely, to a term expiring 12/31/2023. Appoint Lou Tobez as the city historian, and as the Director of Senior Services, Marion Zano. I'd like to ask for a motion to confirm the nominations, please.
So moved.
Is there a second? Second, thank you. Let's have an affirmative voice vote, right? You can say all in favor and aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Honoring retiring board members. This is a proclamation that we wrote for the retiring board members, which I'm going to read. Whereas the call to serve a community is a privilege not everyone accepts, and whereas volunteers devote countless hours and are often called to vote on applications that impact the better good of the community, and whereas the city of Lambertville in the county of Hunterdon and the state of New Jersey has been extremely fortunate to have our community of volunteers who are there to decorate the Christmas tree, aid during an emergency, and to work on applications that will impact the overall picture of the community. And whereas the following individuals have donated countless hours to serve on boards and commissions and are retiring from their positions. Environmental Commission, David Livingston. Historic Preservation, Debbie Clausen. Human Rights Council, Matt Larkin and David Gardner. Lambertville Free Public Library, Paul Hamilton. Planning Board, Wardell Sanders, Sarah Gold, and Zach Englund. Parks and Recreation, Megan Hunter Ruff. Zoning Board of Adjustment, Deb Vary and Elizabeth Rice. Citizens Against the Pennies Pipeline, Wardell Sanders, Kelly Kapler, Gina Fischetti, Sherrod Gray, Jeffrey Tittle, Kimberly Nagy, and Sue Begent. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the governing body in the city of Lambertville and the county of Hunterdon in the state of New Jersey that each person mentioned is hereby acknowledged for their service to the city and wish much success with all of their future endeavors. Thank you. So may I have a motion to approve the proclamation honoring those who have served on the various boards and commissions?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. We'll do a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Motion carried. All right, now we have a delightful thing on the agenda. We're going to honor Julia Fall. Mayor Fall, if you could join me up at the dais. Where should I be? Right here? Should I come around?
You should go around front, I guess.
I don't know where to stand.
I don't know where to stand. Where should we stand? Do you have a point of view?
Just fine.
Okay, great. Hi.
Mayor.
Mayor, good to see you. Let me switch around. So here's a proclamation. Whereas Julia Fall was elected to serve as mayor on November 2nd, 2018 for a 3-year term expiring on December 31st, 2021, and whereas Mayor Fall was the second woman to be elected mayor in Lambertville since 1849, and whereas Mayor Fall is married to Carrie Osmond, and together they reside on Elm Street in this beautiful city of Lambertville, and whereas Mayor Fall's many accomplishments during her term include focusing on the city's debt issues, adopting an ordinance to include a business administrator, increased the meeting schedule to include a work session and a voting session, implemented a process for all department heads to defend their budgets, and educated the public in municipal process, led the traffic calming project on Route 29, increased the number of volunteers, improved communication with the weekly Lambertville Matters, held the first community development fair, devised a community advisory team whose focus was the police site redevelopment and affordable housing, oversaw the acquisition of the Clausen property, an 8-acre farm dating back to the early 1700s, and whereas during Mayor Fall's term, the COVID-19 pandemic hit the United States, causing a shutdown of public spaces, forcing the city to meet virtually using the Zoom meeting platform, increasing emergency services, decreasing various forms of revenue, and changing the way we all conduct business. And whereas Tropical Storm Ida, also known as Hurricane Ida, hit the city on August 31st, 2021, damaging public and private properties, causing over $7 million in damages to the city's infrastructure and damaging the city in ways that have never been experienced in our lifetimes. Whereas throughout her term, we have witnessed her strength, resiliency, compassion, and have greatly benefited from her knowledge and legislative contacts. Now therefore be it resolved by the governing body of the city of Lambertville and the county of Hunterdon in the state of New Jersey that Julia Fall is hereby congratulated on a job very well done. Be it further resolved that she is wished much success in all her future endeavors, and be it further resolved that on January 8th, 2022, we hereby proclaim Julia Fall Day in the city. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Do you mind if I say just one?
Yeah, no,
word?
please, go ahead.
I just wanted to thank Mayor Noack and this full council. Serving the city of Lambertville was one of the greatest joys of my life. And I know I'm leaving the city in good hands and in slightly better condition than when we found it, which is exactly what I was hoping to do. I want to thank everyone, in particular Council President Taylor, who was a pleasure to work with, but also pushed me to be a better mayor in time of great crisis. And I want to acknowledge really quickly that the staff of the city of Lambertville and its volunteers are the heart of what makes the city run the way that it does. And you have a lot of work cut out for you, keeping all of those folks moving in the same direction, but I know you're capable of it. And I want to thank you so much for including me in your opening meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right. And speaking of mayors, I just want to take a couple of minutes to speak to my relationship with Mayor Del Vecchio and to thank him. I surprisingly had never met Mayor Del Vecchio before I announced my candidacy for mayor. And I'll always remember our first conversation. I was walking down Elm Street and he called, and we spent about 20 minutes on the phone. And it was a very gracious conversation. I was so nervous. It was like, what are you going to say? What are you going to do? How are you going to make me feel? And he just was incredibly gracious the entire time. And throughout the campaign, we didn't really have much contact, but following my win in the primary and then in the general, we met several times and we've had very good conversations. And he wrote me a text after the general election, which I just loved, and it was along the lines of, there are no more Del Vecchio supporters, there are no more Mensch supporters, there are no more Noack supporters, there are only constituents, there are only residents here in town. And please remember that as you move forward. And I thought that was just really, it's just spot on. It showed such insight, I think, here. And I appreciate everything that he's said to me and told. He offered me some bits of advice here and there over the last few months. All of it very good, and I've been very pleased by that. And I just want to take a moment to say that I'm really very grateful for how you conducted yourself throughout the campaign and how we've been able to kind of have a nice relationship. And I treasure your wisdom and your experience, and I'm glad that we're able to kind of have a good relationship and move forward. So thank you to Mayor Del Vecchio. Are there any council comments on any of this? Is that you're looking at that?
Sure.
Okay. Well, it's here, right?
Consent agenda.
Well, so let's see. Oh, right. Yeah. Okay. So we have a consent agenda tonight with a lot of items on it, and I'm sure people have probably spent a lot of time reading this over and are fascinated by the details of it.
We need a motion
what's that? Yeah.
for the fall.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry.
No, that's
Yeah,
okay.
excuse me. Where is it? So, yes, I'm sorry. I'd like to make a motion. I'd like to ask for, I'd like to make.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Well, I'd like to ask if somebody.
I know where that hole is,
Oh, gosh. So I'd like to make ask for a motion to adopt the proclamation honoring Julia Fall for her years of service to the city. Do I have a?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Second, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Sorry for that. Good, so now we have the consent agenda. So I'm going to ask for a motion to approve the resolutions listed on the consent agendas, which are numbers 01-2022 through 29, 2022. So these are a series of resolutions that allow us to do everything from sort of set up the accounts and designate official newspapers. Well, you can see it all here. So that's what we're doing.
Excuse me, Mayor, I just have a question about
Sure.
the meeting schedule, 03-2022. In the work sessions, just because I'm sort of compulsive this way, there were several meetings that were scheduled for Thursday. Was that intentional? Because the
Yes,
date,
because of holidays. So if there was a holiday that fell on a Tuesday, the work session was carried to a Thursday. Is that your question?
I don't think so. So like Thursday, September 1st, wouldn't be Labor Day because Labor
No.
Day is the first Monday in
But,
September. Thursday, June 2nd, and Thursday, December 1st. And I just didn't know, like, because when I was reading it, the dates, I looked at the dates, and they were Thursday, like, it originally said, like, Tuesday, June
Yeah.
2nd. And then I looked at the calendar, and it was a Thursday, so
Right.
I asked you to
So-
change it. So I just wanted to be clear
So
that that's what
September-
we're doing.
Right, September 5th is Labor Day, then September 6th was the day after that, so that's why we did September 1st.
Okay, Okay.
And then in June, I think it's because of the primary election,
okay.
is why we, so the primary would be the 7th, and so that's why we went with the Thursday.
Okay. So, yeah, I was just calling it out to make sure everybody was aware. Thank you.
And then the other Thursday was because I believe it was a Jewish holiday.
Okay, thanks.
Do you need a motion?
I do, please.
So moved?
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Should we do a roll call on this one, please?
You can do a roll call, sure.
Okay, I guess roll call, please.
Okay. Councilwoman Lambert?
Yes.
Councilman Sanders?
Yes.
Councilman Stegman?
Yes.
Council President Taylor?
Yes.
Mayor Noah?
Yes. Thank you. So, that moves us to, all the way down to, right?
Right, the
Yeah.
public comment.
Great, I'm just going to spend a couple more minutes talking a little bit about the kind of how I like the meetings to run and about public comment and public engagement. So, you know, one of the things I'd like is to have a very kind of, I mean, obviously we have a lot of work to do, and we will do it, and all of that, but I love the idea of having a slightly more relaxed meeting format, so maybe we don't take roll call on every single thing, we do a voice vote. So I just wanted to sort of get that out there. You know, we'll be moving forward with work sessions and regular meetings, and our working sessions will be less formal. Perhaps we won't have the attorney with us every time. It'll be about kind of kicking around ideas and having conversations and seeing kind of what we can do in terms of just sort of small policy issues. And we'll talk more about this at a later date. I just wanted to kind of touch base about public engagement. Certainly I have office hours. My goal in sort of setting up my administration is to be as available as possible for residents of the community. I will have office hours every week from 3 to 6 on Wednesdays, and in fact, I had a couple call the other day to ask if I would marry them on a Wednesday, and I said sure, but not between 3 and 6. And it's okay because they're not constituents. So those hours are going to be they're going to be sacred for me, and I want the public to know that they can come anytime on Wednesdays, and I'll also take office hours on Saturdays, at least for the first 6 months of my term. I really want to make myself available and to hear what people have to say. And then just in terms of kind of public comment, you know, I'd like to do something a little bit different in terms of our public comment. I was at the LMUA meeting about 6 weeks ago, and they have this charming thing that they do where they refer to everybody by their last names. And I think I'd like to give that a try. So during public comment, you know, if you'd like to make a comment, we'll refer to you as Mr. or Mrs. And even our beloved Cindy Iggy will become Mrs. Iggy just for public comment. Just for a little bit of, I don't know, just to try something a little bit different. And you know, the public comment period in Lambertville over the last few years has been a very active one. and it's not always been as civil as I might like. And I want to just get this out here a little bit. I think that it's really important for the public to remain civil at all times when they're speaking to the governing body. I think that when we nibble at the edges of civility and respect, we do a great disservice to our community. And this has been something that I think we've struggled with a little bit in the last couple of years, and I'd like to be mindful of it. So I'm just going to put that out there. I think that for the most part, people have great manners, and manners, as Thoreau said, are the happy way of doing things. And I'm looking forward to a lot of robust public engagement and comment during these meetings. And please, I really am very accessible to everybody. I'm in City Hall every day, so I would encourage you all to take advantage of that. I'd rather have conversations about things that may be sensitive to people before they get to council meetings, so that we can address them up front, right? We don't want people to come feeling frustrated or as if they haven't been heard. So that's kind of where I stand on public comment. We'll have the council will probably work together to kind of come up with a system of maybe dealing with emails and things like that. Certainly during December, we had very, very heavy emails with the council, and everybody really did a magnificent job of kind of keeping up. But I think that we may work together to kind of streamline the process by which we respond and communicate with the public, while still ensuring and guaranteeing that the public have access to our perspectives and kind of where we are in the issue. So we'll talk about that at the council level, and our ordinance says that 5 minutes of public speaking. We've been doing 3. I'd actually love people to get in and get out in 2 minutes, but we'll talk about that. So at any rate, that's all I would say about the public comment period at the moment. I don't know if anybody wants to weigh in on or has any thoughts on that. I'd be happy to hear if anybody in the council wants to say anything about moving forward. We can do this kind of have a broader conversation at the first working session.
I do think we should have a broader conversation, but I will, I do think we need to find a way that balances both public engagement and making sure people are heard, and understanding that it's public comment, not public debate. And so we've gotten into this habit of lots of back and forths, and do I get my 3 seconds because you interrupted me? And I think the structure of that is not actually really good for anybody. So I'd like to see us return to more of a public comment, and then we can choose. I mean, much like the school board does.
Yeah. Good. Any other thoughts?
Agree.
Okay. Yeah. Great. So at this point, I'd like to open up the meeting to public comment. The way that we're going to do this is people in the room can speak first, and then we'll go to people in Zoom land. Oh, Cindy, I forgot to ask, did you make a note of how many people were on?
Mike, how many are on? When I logged off.
It would be on yours, not on this one.
Okay, I logged off. You can get it at the bottom. When I logged off, we had 22.
22.
Yeah.
33. It's 33.
33.
Great.
Your aunt dropped off, I think.
Yeah, she I bet she did. Gosh, I'm sure my sister probably dropped off too. No, okay. Yeah, one of the things that I do want to do is we're going to keep track of how many people show up on Zoom. I'm committed to this, and I would like the council to make this decision at our first working session or at our next meeting, whether we're going to proceed with this hybrid version. I feel very strongly that it's something that we should do. I would like to keep track of how many people are showing up this way, and we'll reassess it in a year. But for me, there's a very strong will to have this be these meetings be open to the public in ways that are helpful for people who can't get out of their houses or whatever, right? So thank you for that. So we'll open to public comment. If anybody has a comment, please step to the mic. Say your name and your address, please, and then make your question or comment.
Okay, so Mike, do we have any hands raised on Zoom?
Wow.
I guess the 2 minutes was too much of a challenge.
I was
Get in
gonna
and
say
get out,
that
people.
was easy.
Okay, so is that it? No, do we need to close the public comment? Can I have a motion to close the public comment
So
period?
moved.
Second? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And just before I ask for a motion to adjourn, I'd like to quote Margaret Mead here. Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. And on that note, may I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much, everyone. Appreciate it.
We're off to the auspicious start.